Chameleon, Herbie Hancock. This record is probably one of the most influential records for me growing up. I must have, I mean, I'm dating myself, but I must have been um, trying to think. It came out in 1973, and I'm pretty sure my father brought this one home around that time. I, I'm pretty sure he brought it out, or he brought it into the house when it came out. I don't know who he was hanging out with or what was going on. But had to be around that time. So that puts me at about, see, I'm trying to think, maybe 9 years old, maybe 10 years old. And trying to think back. So, we lived in a parent home in the Philadelphia area. And I remember coming down the stairs. It was a 3-story house, pretty nice little neighborhood. But it was a parent home. We lived next to a family that had, like, I don't know, 10 kids or something. And but I mean, it was it was a great life. And all the action was on the first floor. You come in, and then you had the living room, and then you had the kitchen in the back. We had a basement, and 2 stories. So I mean, good bit of room. Um, this one, I my father was into computers, and always into the hi-fi and the stereos growing up. So I learned a little bit about the speakers and um, how to hook things up and all that with the stereos. And I think it's important to make the point that a lot of these stereos, a lot of when you're listening to music like this, or any music, really the stereo and the quality of the recording can make a big difference on your experience. So, if we're listening to streaming services or, YouTube on our phone or whatever, depending on what type of speakers you're dealing with, you're having different types of experiences with the music. But I can say for sure, this record, I have a distinct memory of coming downstairs and just hearing the sound that was just, I mean, I can't really describe the feeling of it. It was so ethereal. It was just mind blowing when I was at this young age. And uh, it was a thing where I think I don't really remember that much about it. He must have played it on occasion or was playing. He would get records or he would be into something for a period of time and just sort of immerse himself in it. And so I probably heard it for, weeks on end or whatever, off and on. And at some point, I do have this one memory of coming down and um, just being amazed at the sound. And the song, the 2 songs, there's 4 songs on this album, and they're all cool. And I mean, you can listen to it in different ways. The hit song was definitely Chameleon, and I don't remember which one got to me first, but I think it was Watermelon Man. Watermelon Man, it's got this weird flute-like sound to start it off, and it's just, the songs are as funky as could be. And what's great about them is they really build it up slow, and the musicians, you have to, go ahead and just do a little checking on it if you're interested. This is probably one of the most, I mean, a lot of anybody from this era or anybody listening to this type of music would know about it. So again, it's probably a reminder if you haven't checked it out for a while. Um, if you're interested in some of the jazz fusion, um, and some of the funk that was coming out in the 70s and 80s, I mean, this is just one of the big time records. And this song Watermelon Man, I'm sure it's the one that really just blew me away just as a child, for first thing. And I think what happened later is, when he wasn't around, I would go down and just find this record and put it on. And I don't know where my mother was, or I don't know what was going on. But I know I got the record and put it on a couple of times, and you'll see the copy that I put up is pretty worn out. And so what happened is, I mean, just the two songs, Chameleon and Watermelon Man, and he would just play them over and over. And the stereo that he had was so good. I mean, it was just, I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was top of the line, but it was definitely better than average. So it was a good quality system with the speakers. And I mean, this, you could crank it up. So I do recommend, if you have access to some good quality equipment, whatever it is, I mean, crank this up, sit down with it, whatever works for you. But it's funny, I realized later, this Watermelon Man song, and I was doing some checking on it. I mean, it's, had become kind of a jazz standard. A lot of the blues guys covered this in different ways. Albert King, there was a version I was looking at by Johnny Taylor. Um, um, Big Mama Thornton, I think, might have, I don't know. But they say it was covered over 200 times. So different, you find all kinds of different versions of this particular song. But for me, just to emphasize this particular record with these guys, Bernie Maupin, the guys on this particular record, it was just foundational for me. It was amazing. I mean, it was just a pivotal moment. And eventually, the story I'll probably tell a couple of times. Over the years, my dad would collect all these records. So these were all albums that would make their way into the house. And what was just as mysterious about a lot of the music, whether I heard the music in the house or not, a lot of it was just the album covers were just so mysterious and so unusual. There was a lot of art, associated with these album covers. So 12 inches by 12 inches. I mean, they were all like little pieces of art, little works of art. A lot of them had things going on the inside, all types of creative things. And you still see a lot of that now. But, the 12 by 12 format was, at the time, I mean, that's pretty much all we had. And it was, you had that in the 45s. That was a whole different aesthetic. But this album in particular is just, it's got, I mean, the design is crazy. It's pretty cool. And, and then you look at the other side, you can see the guys. But just, I wanted to encourage you to check this one out. This, I guess what I was going to say was, it was funny over the years. These records were just in our house, and a lot of times we'd be on separate schedules or whatever. I had room somewhere else in the house or whatever. Over the years, there was this album and a bunch of them that, my dad kind of moved on from. He was into a bunch of different other types of things. So some of the stuff he would bring in when it was, coming out, when it was popular or whatever. And then he would just, they would be left, just like my stuff you can see behind me. I mean, this stuff gets sort of collects dust or whatever. Sometimes we forget about stuff or we move on. There's so much to dig into, and we're busy. But over the years, at some point, I must have gone in and just confiscated the weirdest looking records or the most intriguing records that I felt like he just didn't want anymore, and I just sort of permanently borrowed them from his collection, and they'd become part of my ongoing collection. And I'm pretty sure he didn't miss any of them. But I just, for the record, this was one of my main influences, and it's a classic.